North to south, east to west, Eddie Stobart's truckers traverse the nation, taking on any quest.
There's no room for mistakes or errors.
You name it, we deliver it. Apart from babies.
But they're not just masters of the tarmac. Their rail division is also steaming along. And it's liftoff at their airport in Southend, with flights to 11 international destinations.
Fingers crossed this goes on time.
The truckers are also venturing deeper into Europe in immense convoys.
This has probably been the biggest one, 16 trucks.
The journeys are getting longer.
You're trying to charge on, you're trying to eat the miles.
Tougher.
Everybody has to be somewhere yesterday.
And even more challenging.
You do everything right and it still goes wrong.
Whether at home or abroad, the pressure is always on.
Here we go again.
What's the worst that can happen?
Cruise control on. Sit back, relax passengers, enjoy the ride.
Coming up, day driver Jimmy Callaghan pulls the short straw.
Not the best of drops, trust me. You'll see when you get there, honestly, God, nightmare.
Rookie driver Paul McIntyre hits the road and feels the heat.
Driving a truck, it's a lot of pressure on yourself.
And trucker Ashley Maddox is running out of driving time and places to park up.
I don't particularly want to be stuck in a lay-by on the side of the dual carriageway.
Eddie Stobart is one of the most recognisable haulage firms in the country. They've got a members club of more than 20,000 people who are always on the lookout for one of the company's famous green and red trucks, each one christened with a girl's name. But today it's not just the trucks that grab the attention, so do the truckers. And one of the most popular is a small Welshman with a big smile.
For me, when you get to meet so many nice people, it really does make my day.
45-year-old Stobart driver Ashley Maddox has been trucking for 23 years, and he wouldn't have it any other way.
Trucking's very special to me. It's something that I really do enjoy, just to be out and about, out on the open road.
But before hitting the road, he has to collect his load. Today, it's garden furniture from a factory in Worcester, and Ashley is something of a gardener himself.
I've actually got myself a garden shed, but I done it the hard way. I bought all the raw materials, been a bit of a carpenter myself, and made my own.
It's 4 p.m. Ashley doesn't need to drop his load until tomorrow, but he's still got a lot of miles to make up this evening.
We've got Penryn, Camborne and Penzance all the way down the bottom of Cornwall there, so I've got to be honest, it's quite a nice job.
Today, Ashley will be driving 170 miles down the M5 to Oakhampton in Devon, where he'll overnight. Tomorrow, he'll travel 100 miles, making 3 drops at garden centres. Penryn near Falmouth, then cross-country to Camborne, and finally down to Penzance near Land's End.
That's it, we're OK to go now. First drop, 277 miles away. Let's start.
Truckers can only legally drive for 10 hours in a day, and Ashley has 4 left today. As a tramper, that means he'll sleep in his truck.
And we'll use every minute of driving time we've got, so it just makes the job a bit easier and more achievable tomorrow.
As Ashley hits the M5, he's greeted by another traveller enjoying the open motorway from above.
Just copping for this hot air balloon up here now. That's 2 of us enjoying a nice ride on a pleasant, warm evening. Everyone to their own, but a fantastic sight, though.
An hour into his journey and it's all eyes on the road as this trucker needs to get to his stop for the night.
I'm looking at doing another 120 mile if I can tonight, because I want to try and get to the services between Oakhampton and Launceston, but it's going to be tight. So if I cannot use the brakes again between here and Oakhampton, I'm going to be a happy boy.
But as the sun starts to set, Ashley has to apply the brakes into a service station. The Welsh wizard needs a waz.
Just pulled into the services. Nature's calling.
He is literally running to the loo. And 2 minutes later, he's running back again.
That's it. Let's refresh now.
Straight back onto the M5, he pounds the tarmac into the night, covering 130 miles. He exits the motorway onto the A30 in Devon with less than an hour of drive time.
Well, I say I'm starting to sort of feel a bit heavy-eyed, so it's time to get off the road. It's time to keep your eyes peeled for somewhere to park because there's not exactly a lot around here.
This stretch of road is the last place a trucker wants to be looking for a lay-by. If he drives past his time limit, he could be fined or prosecuted.
There was a sign off to the left that said services one, and then they said Sourton straight on. I don't think that was it, was it?
Even an experienced driver like Ashley can feel the pressure in a situation like this.
But I don't particularly want to be stuck in a lay-by on the side of the dual carriageway.
Suddenly, a sign appears through the darkness. There's hope on the horizon.
So we're about half a mile away from the services now. That's half a mile from knocking this engine off and putting me feet up.
With just a few minutes of driving time left, Ashley has made it to Sanctuary. It may only be a darkened truck stop in Soughton Cross, Devon, but it means he stays out of trouble.
Looks good to me. It's my favourite sound, listen. That's it.
It's lights out for Ashley, for now.
So it's Cornwall, here we come tomorrow. It's time to say goodnight.
Coming up, Big Daddy trucker Tim Fox gets all paternal.
So my baby's in the back now. A nice, gentle ride. Don't upset them.
And a new day dawns for Ashley, but he's feeling the squeeze.
Breathe in. Doesn't leave you a lot of room for error in some of these narrow streets.
Eddie Stobart are haulage giants. Their iconic trucks make a delivery every 20 seconds. But they also have a fleet of specialist biomass wagons, which collect and deliver green waste.
Hard driving, hard work, soaked to the skin, covered in crap, doing the life of a biomass driver.
One of those drivers is 44-year-old Tim Fox, who comes from a strong family culture of trucking.
Trucking's in my blood. The earliest memory of what I ever wanted to do was be a truck driver, like my dad.
But his collection today is all about mushroom culture.
Today, we're going to a farm. I've not actually been before. It's where they make what they grow mushrooms in, the mulch that they grow mushrooms in.
Tim's picking up 26 tons of compost containing living mushroom spores from a farm in Bawtry, South Yorkshire. Then it's a 123-mile journey across the Pennines to a mushroom-growing farm near Lancaster in Lancashire. Tim's no farmer, but lately mushrooms have really grown on him.
Up until about 3 months ago, they were the most foul, horrible, pernicious little things you could ever see. And I couldn't go near. When all of a sudden I just tried one, I thought, oh, that's not too bad, that. And that were it, oops, I can't get enough of them. I've mushrooms with everything. On my cornflakes, the lot.
Tim soon arrives at Tunnel Tech, specialists in producing mushroom compost.
We've got to wash all the trailer out because it's food stuff that's going in. If there's any contaminants in from the previous loads, it can damage the products, it can damage the mushrooms, so they sanitise all the trailers. I think my cup could do with a bit of a steam clean as well, looking at it. I can grow my own mushrooms, it bottom with that.
So the sterilisers move in for a 40-minute deep clean. Enough time for Tim to get a quick lesson in fertilisation. This plant produces more than 1,000 tonnes of compost each week.
What we're doing is mixing straw, horse manure, chicken litter, gypsum and water.
But there's a lot more to do before the magic happens and the mushrooms grow. These sheds keep the compost mix at precisely the right temperature. This helps it develop into the perfect substance for mushrooms to grow in.
I just didn't think it'd be like this. It's just opened my eyes.
The compost here has already been infused with mushroom spores, and all that's about to get loaded into Tim's truck.
Precautionary.
Tim can't simply sit back and wait to get loaded. As the compost is dropped from a conveyor belt, he has to keep moving his truck forwards and backwards so the load goes in evenly. "26 tons of compost later and the truck's full. This boy done good."
Right, we've got our live stock of mushrooms on. We're just on the A1M now, just getting round Doncaster area. We're heading up onto the M62, across the Pennines, back to Lancashire. We'll leave Yorkshire behind. Yorkshire's a nice place, but it's always better when it's behind you. When you get back to Lancashire, you're getting home. We head up to a farm near Lancaster, where we'll tip this load and they'll grow the mushrooms on.
With his precious cargo on board, it seems the Lancastrian's turning into a father of the fungi.
My baby's in the back now. A nice, gentle ride. Don't upset them. There'll be thousands of them in there, all mixed up in that. And I did notice there's not much room in there to get anything else in. Boom, boom!
After 3 hours of smooth cruising, the biomass maestro is finally on home turf in his native Lancashire and arrives well on schedule at the mushroom farm to drop his spore-laden compost. Tim's truck has an automated walking floor. One push of the button and the mushroom-loaded compost will run straight off.
So my little baby mushroom's going. Flying away now. I've nurtured them. Bye-bye, babies.
And the farm's automated process means the whole load is brought off the truck and directly into the sheds where the mushrooms will actually grow. The machines even add peat to help cultivation, giving the ever-curious Mr. Fox time for a sneaky peek inside.
It's starting to look like breakfast now. Oh. Mushroom heaven.
Back outside, the speedy unloading process is over. Tim's truck is fungi-free and he's feeling the love.
That can just ride. Can I come here again?
The biomass man's even been given a box to take home to the missus.
Breakfast. A couple of pieces of bacon, sausage and an egg. That's breakfast. They're not fattening, are they, mushrooms? They're not fattening, are they? No, of course they're not.
Tim's dropped off the mushroom spores. Find out later how Stobart driver Jimmy Callaghan gets on when he collects a fully grown load. Over 300 miles away, tramper Ashley Maddox has just woken at a service station in West Devon. Last night, he managed to park up just before his driving hours ran out. But it hasn't been the most luxurious of overnight stops. His load is garden furniture, not mushrooms, but he could be harbouring a bit of fungi on his person.
Unfortunately, for some reason, the toilet facilities are all locked up, so it's life of a tramper. It was a quick wash with a wet wipe and clean my teeth, and then hopefully find somewhere later on where we can get a decent wash.
Ashley was hoping for a shower, but not the kind he's woken up to today.
I gotta be honest, I was expecting from the curtains this morning to see nice blue skies, lovely sunshine, but what did I get? Dull grey sky and drizzle. It's not quite what I ordered.
It's gone 6 a.m. and Ashley needs to deliver to a garden centre 73 miles away in Penryn by 8, so it's time to get motoring.
It's all about clock watching sometimes, this job is. Nobody wants to be late and fail, so my worst habit is clock watching.
But he can stop the clocks for now. The Welsh wizard has made it to his first drop on time. Once his pre-packed garden sheds are speedily unloaded, he can set off to his next drop, 10 miles away in Camborne. Well, hopefully.
I think I know where we're going. I'm about 50% confident. 100% confident when I get there.
First, he has to negotiate the narrow Cornish roads.
Breathe in. Doesn't leave you a lot of room for error. some of these narrow streets.
And some interesting parking by other road users doesn't help.
Bit of sensible parking there, double yellow lines, and on the pavements.
But he makes it. Ashley arrives at his second drop, another garden centre. Before he can turn into the depot, there's a surprise welcome waiting for him.
Hello.
Oh, I spotted you. I thought, I've got to say hello to you.
No, it's brilliant, thank you.
Good job.
That's lovely, thank you very much.
That's all right.
Oh, thank
nice
you,
to meet
okay.
you. All
And you
right.
too. Oh, just met a rather nice lady. Fan of Eddie Stobart, so apparently we've just made a day. That's what makes a job all worthwhile when you meet people like that, I gotta be honest.
Time to get on with your day job now, Ashley.
So it's going to be a bit of a tight turn into there. The last thing you really want to be doing is upsetting out all the other road users. But it just comes with practice, and I've had plenty of it.
After dropping his second load of sheds and some fences, Ashley's making good time.
We've got one more job to get off, and then obviously we stop and have a break. So the plan is try and get a break with some sunshine and a sea view.
Spurred on by the possibility of seeing the corking Cornish coastline, in half an hour, Ashley's at his last drop in Penzance. But the news is out. There's an Eddie Stobart in town.
He's on the telly. He's on the telly.
Ashley's an even more popular arrival in Cornwall than the sheds he's delivered.
Smashing.
Thank you.
Very much.
Brilliant.
So cool. My kids would be so jealous. My little boy is a big fan, and my little girl is a big fan of Eddie Stobart. And they're at school today, so they've asked me to come down to take some photographs for them.
We've come to a beautiful part of the country. We've had 3 trouble-free deliveries, and everything's just gone so smooth, you know. That's all you want out of a day, really, and we've met some really nice people as well, so that's an added bonus too. Yeah, it's a pleasure to have met you. Yeah. Bye, bye.
With all his deliveries completed, Ashley can take his foot off the pedal.
That's it, all 3 drops done now, so one thing left to do, and go and find a nice spot to get some lunch.
Ashley has previously been to John O'Groats in Scotland, the northernmost point on the UK mainland. He knows to start heading south until he can't go any further.
So I said we'd try and find a nice spot to have lunch, and here we are, Land's End.
And guess what? There's more Stobart fans.
What's the name of that lorry? Something Michelle?
Kate Michelle, yeah, that's the one, yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh, no, it makes my day, it does. Thank you. Oh, it's a pleasure. Oh, thank you very much.
When we drove to Land's End, that was the last thing we expected to see was an Eddie Stobart truck.
With the truck parked up, its driver is determined to make his mark too.
Just one last thing I've got to do, and that's to put my stamp on Land's End. And I can honestly say, the Welsh guy has finally arrived.
But a tramper's work is never done. Time for Ashley to turn his truck northwards to pick up yet another load.
All right, mate.
Coming up, trucker Jimmy Callaghan hits a hurdle.
That's all we need. There's another wagon in the alleyway.
And Stobart apprentice Paul McIntyre goes it alone.
The feeling's amazing as soon as someone gives you the set of keys and they trust you to go off by yourself.
Every 24 hours, Stobart's green and red Armada drive the equivalent of 24 times around the Earth. Much of that mileage is notched up by the company's 1,500 day drivers.
Well, whatever you put in your fridge and your fruit and veg, that's what I deliver.
And one of their hardest working is 43-year-old Liverpudlian Jimmy Callaghan, an ex-serviceman who joined the Stobart force 2 years ago.
You're your own boss, do your own thing. Being out on the open road beats being in a factory any day.
6 a.m, Stobart's witness depot. Jimmy's about to start his shift, and it could be a tough one.
If you go on to acclimatization, but it's on an 82.
Eggless.
On an 82, I am.
You give me the worst runs, don't you? Could have combed you in.
So could you.
Today, Jimmy's first drop is 18 kgs of chilled food at a store 10 miles away in Aigburth, Liverpool. Then it's back to the witness depot, where he'll swap his trailer before driving 60 miles north to collect mushrooms from the farm in Lancaster, where Tim Fox dropped his compost.
Not the best of drops, trust me. You'll see when you get there, honestly, God, nightmare. Let's hit the road. We're ready to rock.
Jimmy sets off on his tricky run, and it turns out it's a baptism of fire for rookie Stobart drivers.
You know, when we get new drivers in, you know, we've just started with the company or something like that, and we say to them, have you done Aigburth yet? They go, no. And you go, whoa, this fella hasn't done Aigburth. Give him the Aigburth.
The store is notorious for having a restricted yard and narrow entrance, which makes driving in a 44-foot truck and trailer a test for even the most experienced driver. In less than 20 minutes, Jimmy's approaching the Aigburth store.
There's the shop there.
Sitting in the outside lane, he needs a clear inside lane to make his turning, and he times it perfectly.
Easy. Easy. Easy.
Jimmy's done this run before, so he nails it.
Once you've done it a few times, you know what to do.
But that's only half the job done. Now Jimmy needs to reverse his truck onto the loading bay. But he's only got a little bit of room to play with in this small yard. It can take some experienced drivers up to 5 attempts before they pull it off. Jimmy's first attempt, and he's not lined up with the bay, so he'll have to do it again. Second time round, and it's perfect.
You had a look because I'm on it. 2 shots.
Having mastered this nightmare drop, Jimmy 2 Shunts Callaghan is falling over himself to get unloaded.
See, it's going like clockwork now, isn't it?
Amongst his load, he finds a reminder about his next collection of the day.
See them? That's where we're going this afternoon. Lancashire. Freshly picked mushrooms.
Jimmy might be looking forward to his foray with some fungi, but as he drops the last of his load, he could have a problem.
All right, mate.
How long will it be?
There's not much room for him to exit the yard. A bread van has arrived to make a drop.
That's all we need. There's another wagon in the alleyway.
Getting out will be a real test for Jimmy 2 Shunts.
Right, what'll happen now? He's going to go back as far as he can, so I'm straight. Right? Right, now I'll reverse right back into that corner. It gives him enough room then to move. And once I'm far enough back, he'll move in and we can just drive out. Thanks a lot, mate. Cheers.
Jimmy's not sticking around to see if the bread man can rise to the occasion down the tricky back passage. With Aigburth cracked, Jimmy heads back to the witness depot to change trailers. Within minutes, he's pounding the tarmac on the M62, then M6, heading north to Lancaster.
A couple of miles to go now before we get to the mushroom factory. It's just a case whether the mushrooms are being lazy today. Hopefully they've grew and it's all ready for me. But we'll find out. We're coming off in half a mile.
Earlier on, biomass driver Tim Fox delivered mushroom spores to the farm for cultivation. Now Jimmy's got the task of collecting a fully grown load of freshly picked mushrooms, ready for supermarket shelves tomorrow.
We've made it to the mushrooms. Let's hope they've made it for me.
At the pickup point, Jim is invited to take a magical mystery tour of this mushroom farm.
Well, we'll go down here onto the sheds and we'll see, you know, where the grows and pits and stuff like that in the sheds just down here. You like my uniform? Nice, isn't it?
Housed in growing sheds, the compost infused with mushroom spores, known as mycelium, is now underneath a layer of peat and packed onto shelves. Kept at a temperature of plus 25 degrees centigrade, the mycelium grows through the peat. Then the mushrooms start to grow. And in just over 2 weeks, they're capable of more than doubling in size every 2 days. After 6 weeks, they're ready to be picked and packed.
You want one?
Well, pick one. I eat them, yeah.
Eat them raw?
I'll eat it. I'll try it once.
Right, we'll go on then.
I'll have a little one, though.
All right, just twist it. And just pull. Yeah, just pull it straight up. There you go.
Get rid of the shite. Freshest mushroom I've ever had.
Tour over. Time for Jimmy to pick up his loaded trailer and hit the road.
Right. Sounds like we're nearly done. I'll hand these back and get back to my day job.
And after his brush with fungi farming, Jimmy's sizing up his future career options.
Mushroom picker, trucker. Mushroom picker, trucker. Without a doubt.
The 1,500 cases of freshly picked mushrooms made it safely onto supermarket shelves by the next day. Over 7 months ago, thousands of young hopefuls applied for one of 10 highly coveted places on Eddie Stobart's new apprentice scheme. Trained up to become the next generation of Stobart truckers, over the last 6 months, the 10 chosen ones have been on the steepest of learning curves and have been mentored by some of Stobart's finest driver trainers.
Is that all right, that speed round, that roundabout?
Yeah, that's quality, mate, it's quality.
Culminating in them learning how to drive a truck.
They have passed and absolutely over the moon.
23-year-old Scouser Paul McIntyre is one of the 10 who made the grade and got onto the scheme.
The feeling's amazing as soon as someone gives you the set of keys and they trust you to go up by yourself.
Now it's D-Day, he can finally hang up his L-plates. Paul's about to embark on his first week of solo runs as a fully fledged driver. He's at Stobart's port in Widnes.
I don't know. I haven't got a clue where I'm going yet.
Today, he's been put in charge of the Skelly trailer.
Driving a truck, people think it's just basically just getting in this, holding the wheel, putting the foot down the pedal and driving. It's the complete opposite. It's a lot of pressure.
So it's always nice to start with some beginner's luck. And Paul's been given 2 drops in his hometown of Liverpool. A quick rev of his 440 horsepower engine and he can get started. But the truck's going nowhere.
Parking brakes on.
All trailers have a parking brake located underneath them for safety. This first-timer forgot to release his.
Good start.
Paul's now pulling almost £20,000 worth of trailer behind him. This skeleton trailer is designed to carry either 20 or 40-foot containers. And the first thing the 23-year-old has to do is navigate his way around the port to find his container. Parked up, he now has to release the twist locks on his trailer.
So that's actually 4 of them will hold the box in place. Scary, isn't it?
Despite being new to this game, Paul is all too aware of what would happen if he made a mistake.
The box comes off as soon as you brake a bit harshly or you go around the corner a bit too quick. And that's when Mr. Stobart gives you the call and hands you your P45.
Staff at the port handle 1,100 vehicles a day, using their automated container positional and recovery system. It's no surprise then that the 4 corners of Paul's container are dropped into place with pinpoint precision.
So now you give them the thumbs up, just to let them know that all of them are in properly.
Locked and loaded. Time to let this homing pigeon do his work. From the inland port in Widnes, Paul's got a 20-mile drive west to Sea Docks in Liverpool, where he'll drop off the container. He'll then pick up another container full of household goods and drive it 10 miles through the city centre to a warehouse in Speke, just outside Liverpool. He knows the route off by heart, but for this local lad, concentration is key.
My big thing is lane discipline. So often, if you get your trailer swinging out, you can clip someone else's car or another wagon come alongside you, like, for instance, now. And them lights are just changed then, so, you know, you're looking at him to make sure that he's not going to cut too early and then, like, come across the front of your cab, because you've got to take a lot of room. There's a lot of things that you need to consider before you do something.
And with a lorry to pull, Paul's keen to crack on. It's plain sailing all the way down to the docks. 30 minutes later, he arrives. Time to offload the container and pick up a new container full of household goods. Next stop, Speke. So Paul has to drive straight through the mean streets of Liverpool city centre. And it's not long before he runs into trouble.
I'm getting a beep as well, yeah.
After some horn action, often come extras.
I know. Pointing at us though, shouting at us.
Paul's cage has been rattled.
I'm trying to think now. Confused now. Confused. I'm fine. I know I'm fine. I've done all my checks. No, he just pointed at me. I don't know. He was in the. If anything, he was in the wrong. He was in the outside lane. I don't know.
Confused for sure, but intimidated. Not this young trucker.
Because I'm a new driver, you know, you're not always 100% confident in yourself because we're still new to the industry. I'm accepting that I'm going to make mistakes.
But if the lights change here, Paul could come face to face with the angry trucker. He makes it through and narrowly escapes a showdown. 20 minutes later, he's in the outskirts of Liverpool, in Speke. He's trying to find the location for his second drop.
I can see there being a building in the background there, but I can't see anything big enough for a lorry to go down. I'm sure it'll become obvious in a second. I'm hoping that is. And there's the B&M there in the background.
The last thing this fledgling trucker wants to do is fail on his final drop of the day.
And I found it.
It's a proud moment for Paul. It's his second on-time delivery and he's made it unscathed. But the hardest moment of the day is yet to come.
So this is our bay here. Oh, this is going to be tight for me, this.
There's trailers parked either side of the bay Paul's been sent to, and no room for him to pull out wide.
Because there's not enough room to spin myself round, I'm going to have to try and jackknife it in. And I've got to watch out for this trailer as well as I'm going back.
Paul thinks reversing is one of his weaknesses.
Just trying to make sure, because the second you start oversteering, you lose it and there's not much space to correct yourself. It's always going, because you can see how close that other trailer is next to it there.
He's cleared the trailers to his right, but that's the side he can see. What's really got him worried is the trucks on the left, his blind side. There's no rule saying you can't get out and take a look.
Just got to watch the corner on this trailer now.
It's one of the hardest manoeuvres the new boys had to do. And to make matters worse, he's got an audience, 4 other drivers. Paul's reversed at a sharp angle, but it's not quite right. He'll have to shunt forward and try again.
It's starting to look a bit better now. I'm just trying to get the last touches on here now. Just make sure that I don't hit anything. I'm just taking it nice and easy now.
Even with an audience, Paul has put the truck on the bay. Job done.
It's a bit scary at first, but now I'm back on the bay. I'm just going to drop it and then see what happens. Got to take my paperwork in.
The trailer's now disconnected. The rookie has officially dropped off his first 2 loads. But he can't claim a victory just yet. His trailer is parked right up against the parking bay, and he's left something behind.
Your registration plate on the back. Before you get to the back doors and all that, you should get out, go down, either open your doors if you need to, if required, and get your registration plate off the back. But I've actually went up against the back and I haven't took my registration plate off. So I need to go check now, see if I can reach it out, and if not, I've got to drive my unit back over. We'll get the shunter if he's willing to help me to pick it up and put it forward so I can get it off.
So he'll have to reach in and grab it, if there's room.
Right, I got a bit of touch of luck there, weren't he? Otherwise, I'd have to pull the whole thing forward and then look like a bit of a divvy, wouldn't I? I need that, like.
It's mission accomplished for the relieved rookie driver. He heads back to base with his final load on board, now a fully fledged member of the Stobart Trucking Brotherhood. Coming up, there's a big stink as Stobart's horsebox driver Mark Carruthers deals with an unwanted load.
Scoop it up, all part of the job.
Eddie Stobart's green and red liveried trucks are so identifiable that on average UK road users will notice one every 4.5 minutes. But not all their vehicles share the colour scheme. One of the most expensive trucks in the firm's fleet is the £430,000 sparkling silver horsebox. It's the envy of all Stobart drivers.
That Fiona, she can keep away from my truck, so you just know that Fiona.
And the man responsible for this 18-ton prized horsebox is Stobart driver Mark Carruthers.
You've just got to get on with your job and do it as best you can and be aware of what's happening around you when you're actually on the road.
It's 6 a.m. and at stables near Marlborough in Wiltshire, Mark is preparing the horses for loading.
Hopefully we'll come on with a winner or two.
There's 6 horses heading to Newmarket races from the stables in the custom-built Oakley horsebox. 3 belong to Stobart Chief Executive Andrew Tinkler, Campanology, Ask Dad and Polly Pomona.
Good lad.
And 1 horse, Dixie's Dream, belongs to Chief Operating Officer William Stobart. The prized cargo will be kept chilled in air-conditioned surroundings.
Right, job done. Let's go.
With all the horses loaded, Mark kicks off his journey. He's covering 167 miles of UK motorway and A roads on his mission to get the horsebox from the stables near Marlborough in Wiltshire to the Newmarket racecourse east of Cambridge. And Mark knows there's no room for mistakes with today's delivery.
Some of these thoroughbreds are bloody expensive, but it doesn't matter whether they were 500,000 or 50 quid. It's still an animal and you've got to look after it.
The very nature of the cargo means it's a job that comes with major concerns.
It's a bit of a worry sometimes, like. It's more risk, innit? Like, you load one up and say, if you hurt yourself, getting off a box or something like that.
The horsebox is fitted with 5 CCTV cameras, so Mark can always keep an eye on the treasured consignment.
Everything looks spot on, and it's a quad. So each camera does 2 horses, or you can zoom in. Yeah, they're all good as gold.
And Mark's keeping an extra special eye on a couple of the horses today, because one of Andrew Tinkler's 3 horses will go head-to-head in the same race as William Stobart's horse. But which horse has Mark got his money on?
Well, Williams is going quite well. That one won last time out.
It's a 4-hour drive to Newmarket, and Mark knows he can't be late.
Trainers like their horses to be there about 3.5 to 4 hours prior to its first race, so they can, you know, they can have a chill, have a drink of water in the stables at racecourse before they have to do the business.
With clear roads, Mark gallops down the motorway, and 3 hours later, he's within 20 miles of his destination.
We're only about 25-30 minutes off Newmarket, so we should be there for about 10 o'clock. We'll have to hope that something wins.
Arriving into Newmarket town centre, Mark's no longer the king of the road.
This is Newmarket now. Down here, horses have got the right of way everywhere. There's double footpaths. There's a footpath for pedestrians, and then there's also the footpath for the horse.
Newmarket's holding stables are situated 1 mile away from the racecourse itself, so once on site, it's Mark's job to ferry the horses from stables to track in time for each race.
It's just hassle of it all. Normally the stables is right on the racecourse, so you would take the horses there and then you just walk them from stable in to race.
Mark pulls into place at the racecourse stables, bang on schedule.
We've just pulled up. We're just going to get the horses off. Everything's gone absolutely spot on. Get them into the stables so they'll have a nice rest, and hopefully we'll have a winner.
But Mark's got the booby prize of all jobs, cleaning out the horse box after a long journey.
It's quite a bit of dung, but we'll sharp sort it out, scoop it up, all part of the job. A bit of dung. How to hell can all that come out of one horse? There's an art to this. Make a little pie, and then just a quick... Perfect, look. A bit pressure washer.
With the trailer cleaned up, Mark gets himself dusted down too.
Change of clothes now, got my dancing shoes on. There's no jeans or anything allowed at racecourse, so you have to be smartly dressed.
All dressed up and ready to go, Mark prepares to take 2 horses on the mile-long journey from the stable to the track.
This is Campanology.
But these aren't just any 2 horses.
So these 2 that we're collecting now to go across. It's William versus Andrew. They've ended up with a horse each in the same race, so they'll be pulling each other's leg.
Transporting William's horse, Dixie's Dream, and Andrew's horse, Campanology, means Mark must take extra care while on the open road.
They're all precious animals, aren't they? And if you are running late anywhere on this job, you just can't rush. There's just one pace for this job, and that's just steady.
So he checks in on both horses.
So there's Campanology stood, just nice and quiet. There's Dixie's Dream. But I must say, they both look absolutely outstanding. And I just wouldn't have a clue which one's going to come first. Good lad.
With both horses safely at the course, Mark rushes trackside to take in the battle between the 2 Stobart figureheads.
Go and catch that race.
And William Stobart is feeling confident of gaining some bragging rights over his old friend Andrew.
I've got a horse and Andrew's got a horse. But there's only going to be one horse who'll win it.
But Andrew Tinkler's come up with a plan, should William reign supreme today.
Actually, I think if William wins this, we should go buy the champagne.
Exactly. I'll do that, definitely.
Well, may the best man win and the best horse win in the end.
Yeah.
Finding a spot amongst the crowd with a prime view, Mark's in position as the race begins. An excited Newmarket takes in the action as the race comes to a climax. There's no win for either Andrew or William, but who's won the bragging rights?
8 and 12. So Campanology was 8, but William was 12. So if they'd a pound each, Andrew was 1.
His horse may not have come first in the actual race, but Andrew was victorious in the real contest of the day.
So anyway, who won in the end?
Just.
But there's no champagne for Mark to sup.
Home time. Put the horses all to bed, and then put myself to bed.
It's time to head home to the stables. Next time on Eddie Stobart Trucks and Trailers, chilled driver Fiona Saltjack gets hot under the collar.
Moving 26 tonnes of ice on the grass that's wet. We ain't going to have many chances to get it wrong.
Ever modest Mark Dixon leaves even himself impressed.
Let's give myself a little pat on the back there.
And at London's Southend Airport, a spotter gets a real eyeful.
This has been absolutely brilliant, all lined up like that. So it'll never happen again, will it?